Good morning. You know, there's a lot of Sherlock Holmes fans out there, I'm sure. 7% solution, it underscores his addiction and the heroin solution that he uses to stave off his addiction for heroin. Well, the 1% solution is about addiction as well. It's about easy money addiction. Consider this. Every country, whether it's United States, Japan, all the members of the Eurozone, they look at issues such as inflation, productivity, growth as domestic issues. They do acknowledge global aspects. But really, when you take a step back, it's just like the analogy of all stimulus is fungible, that if somebody eases a central bank in another country, that stimulus actually flows throughout the globe. The same could be said in a very simplified way for inflation, productivity, growth, labor costs, commodity costs. All these things are on a global perspective, and they seek a certain level, which means that the reach of any individual central bank to try to implement policy, well, it becomes next to impossible without a unified front. So when we talk about issues regarding what our Fed's going to do or what the ECB, central bank, or Japan is going to do, the real point is that the addiction to liquidity and the reasons it's created in a simplified version are to combat inflation or lack of inflation. They want prices to be higher. But if they can't make a difference, the damage they're doing is just so gravitationally impossible to escape. Negative rates, once a country gets them, I think it's going to be nearly impossible to reverse course. And if you think of the U.S. economy and monetary policy as a plane and the water is negative rates and we're flying over it, if we start to tick down on these rates, indeed there's going to be a crisis at some point. But if the belly of the plane touches the water, we're in trouble. Think about it this way. Do you really think Americans are going to adjust well to negative rates? As a matter of fact, this is just my opinion, but I think Americans are going to hate negative rates. As a matter of fact, I think that it will put central banks and the Fed in particular right in the middle of a huge political spotlight. Do central banks and Fed officials really want to be the debate topic of presidential elections of the future? Is policy, is hoarding cash, is the fact that savers are going to be decimated? Is this part of the American dream? See, I think the problem is having inflation targets that are impossible to meet causes activity that create outsized results that at some point become too big to address. So why can't all global central bankers sit in a room and recalibrate inflation? Now, I said 1% solution. Maybe it's just a stability level, because it certainly seems as though Europe and Japan and many countries, especially the U.S., have stable pricing outlooks, but in the end, trying to raise those up is causing so much damage that at some point, somebody has to say stop to the PhDs and bring in just a tad of common sense. Carl, back to you.